So over the past 3 weeks, there's been a massive spike in online searches for the word Liberia with over 40 million hits, following the compliments by US President Donald Trump to President Joseph Boyka. That one comment has reignited global interest in Liberia's origins, and with it, the old question: did the American Colonization Society really establish or colonize the Republic of Liberia? What up, my people? My name is Paul Saley, aka the Fresh Global Prince. You know how we do it. I'm a youth facilitator at the Liberian Leadership Academy, and I want to say a happy Independence Day to all Liberians at home and around the world. Today we're going to be breaking down the long-standing narrative of ACS establishing Liberia and explore the real meaning behind the word colonization and explain how Liberia truly became independent without ever having been colonized. So who were the ACS? So the American Colonization Society, or ACS, was a private organization responsible for the repatriation of freeborn Black Americans and former enslaved Black Americans to the Green Coast, which we call Liberia, during the 1820s up until the 1860s. They also worked in collaboration with the US government to repatriate recaptured Africans taken illegally from the continent of Africa during the horrific transatlantic slave trade. They were interested in Paul Kofi's resettlement efforts. When the American Revolution had ended, the British repatriated a number of former enslaved Africans who fought on their side during the Revolution. They were taken to Freetown in 1787. Mr. Kofi, a Black American who owned his own shipping business and engaged in trade, took interest in their resettlement efforts and began his own Back to Africa movement, as he believed that Africa was the best place to live free and pursue self-determination. He repatriated a small number of willing settlers to Freetown at his own expense when he did not get financial backing from the US government. Several men consisting of white US government officials, preachers, and slaveholders took huge interest in what he did and formed the American Colonization Society in Washington, D.C. in December of 1816. Now, what were the actual motives of the ACS wanting to resettle the repatriates to what is now known as Liberia? Why not just leave them in the States for them to be free? The founders of ACS had a mix of good and racist intentions guiding their participation. Some saw it as an opportunity to do missionary work, others saw it as an opportunity to exploit the repatriates for financial gain, and most did not want the presence of free Black people roaming around the United States. They believed they had no place among them and felt they would be better off in Africa. Now let's discuss Liberia transitioning from a settlement to a commonwealth. In 1822, ACS got financial backing from the US government and purchased properties on Providence Island from a slave dealer by the name of John S. Mill, who was the son of an Englishman and an Angola woman. Providence Island was formerly a slave depot where slaves were held until ships could come and buy them. Unfortunately, the repatriates found Providence Island to be very unfit for living due to it being heavily disease-ridden and unhealthy. So because of this, John S. Mill agreed to help them find somewhere more conducive for them to settle. They found a 135-mile stretch of land off the coast in Cape Meserado and came into a purchasing agreement with the indigenous kings of Meserado. John S. Mill even served as a witness to the purchase between ACS and the native kings. In 1824, the colony was named Liberia. Also at this time, you had different colonization societies settling along different portions of the Green Coast. And just to name a few, they were the Maryland Colonization Society, Mississippi Colonization Society, and New York Colonization Society. By 1835, most of these separate colonies decided to unite within the settlement of Liberia into a commonwealth through the efforts of Joseph Jenkins Roberts, who was the first African governor before becoming president in 1847. The reason for their uniting was to defend their sovereignty against slave traders and European invasion. Now, why am I mentioning all these different colonization societies living along the coast? Most Liberians today believe that ACS colonized the entire Green Coast. Colonizing the entire Green Coast meant that ACS would have to forcefully take territory from the sovereign Africans. But this wasn't the case with ACS because they did not have the willpower to do so. Now, Liberia's push for independence came from growing frustrations with the ACS, who controlled the colonies and imposed very harsh laws. The ACS sold resources meant for the repatriates and recaptured Africans and subjected them to rules that limited their freedom. Those who disobeyed the ACS's laws were punished harshly, and many Africans felt that their rights were ignored. When Liberia gained independence, the founding fathers, who were free black men, drafted a constitution that included laws to protect the land rights of indigenous Africans living along the coast. The constitution revoked ACS's ownership of the land. The term colonization has two meanings. The first definition of colonization refers to when a country takes over another place, settles there, and forces their way of life on the people who already lived there. The second definition of colonization refers to a group of people who moves to a new area and settles there without taking control or forcing their way of life on others. ACS fits the second definition because they were a private organization and not a country. They did not forcefully take land from the natives, but purchased it from them. They did not impose their way of life on the natives. Now let's talk about the Declaration of Independence by Hilary Teague. So Hilary Teague was a Liberian journalist, preacher, orator, and first Secretary of State in the Republic of Liberia. He was also the lead author of the Declaration of Independence in 1847. After reading the Declaration for myself, his words made it clear that Liberia was not a gift from America, but it was the work of black people reclaiming their dignity and their freedom. Teague went on to further explain that free and formerly enslaved black Americans left the U.S. because they were denied basic rights. They were shut out of society, taxed without representation, and stripped of their dignity. Because of this, they searched for a land where they could live free, and they chose Africa. I bet you're also wondering, did the Declaration of Independence mention ACS creating the Republic of Liberia? Nope. There's no mention of it in the Declaration. The American Colonization Society helped in the repatriation efforts, but it did not build the Republic. They had no participation in it. The 1847 Constitution abolished the Commonwealth that was under ACS and created the Republic of Liberia. The Commonwealth flag was not even Liberia's first national flag. The Liberian Constitution was drafted by a constitutional committee and not by any white American. He said Liberia was not built for greed or ambition. It was a refuge from white oppression, where black people could build schools, worship freely, raise their children in peace, and prove their humanity to a world that doubted it. The US did not even recognize Liberia until 1862. I mean, think about it. Why would America, a country that held black people as slaves during that time period, recognize a black republic? What did Hilary Teague have to also say about the native people? Teague noted that native Liberians joined the republic, and over time they lived and worked in harmony with the repatriates as one people. Liberia was never meant to exclude African people, but include them, as it was a united African project. Liberia was Africa's first modern republic, founded by black freemen who saw themselves as Africans, for self-rule led by black visionaries who refused to accept oppression as their destiny. So every year when we celebrate July 26, we do it not to celebrate America or ACS. We do it to celebrate our black sovereignty, black unity, and African independence. And my people, that is it from me today on our Liberian history. I know you already cook your jollory, you cook your pan butter, you cook your cassawali, your water green, all the sweet Liberian dish. Then let me now hold you so you can go enjoy. Today our day to celebrate. However the case, if you're interested, if you love the video but would like to learn more on Liberian history, such as the Declaration of Independence that I just gave you a sneak peek on, I'll leave a video link in the comment description. You can click on it. You'll be redirected to YouTube, where you'll have access to a 1-2 hour video history lesson on the Declaration of Independence. And also, if you would like a copy of the Declaration of Independence so you can share with your family and friends in case I go to school, feel free to hit me up in my inbox and I'll send you a copy. Peace out.